Hello, I'm Peter Beanstalk, the president of the Delaware and Hudson Canal Historical Society and Museum in High Falls, New York. I want to thank Kevin Zraly, who is conducting this Zoom wine tasting, and I hope you all have your bottles set up. He'll be with you very shortly. We have purchased the 1797 stone National Historic Landmark Depew Canal Tavern building, and we are doing two things in that building. In the old stone part, we are creating a museum of the Delaware and Hudson Canal, which was one of the great industrial projects in America in the 19th century, and which was crucial to the development of New York City as a world city. In the new wooden addition, we're creating a Mid-Hudson area visitor center, which will promote the cultural and arts assets of the region, the wonderful farms and agriculture and food, the historic and charming, really lovely villages, and the iconic landscapes and the great trail system of the area. Our friend Kevin was the first sommelier 50 years ago at the Depew Canal House, which became one of the most famous restaurants in America right through the early 21st century. He went on from there to a career which made him be labeled by many the father of American wine education, and he publishes the largest selling wine book in the nation, perhaps in the world, The Windows on the World Wine Course. Kevin loves this place, loves the project, and promised he would do 1,000 tastings for us if necessary. I hope they aren't necessary, though that would be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of wine. But we are moving ahead, and we look forward to welcoming you in our new Museum and Visitor Center in about a year. And now I'm going to turn this over to Jack Braunlein, our Executive Director, marvelous historian and administrator and scholar. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And I want to thank Kevin, too, because Kevin Zraly is really responsible for us having this very wonderful program for you all. Kevin's just one of the many talented members of our advisory committee. We're very fortunate in this museum to have such a great team working together on this project. From our staff, our professional staff, to our very wonderful board who is supportive, engaged, and involved in everything that we do. And then this advisory committee that's made up of very talented people lending their expertise. In addition to that, we've got some exceptional consultants, people who are more than just consultants. You know, they're more than just part of the team, they're just part of the family in a way. Neil Larson, our architectural historian, Rick Alfondra, our great architect, and also the wonderful team of Christina Forwerda and Paul Orselli, our exhibit designers. We came to select Christina and Paul through the work of our very talented exhibit committee. And because of that, I think in working closely with them, we've discovered that they provide more to us than just an exhibit design. So what we were seeking is an exhibit that would be engaging for kids and adults of all ages, because we are looking for something that's going to attract people to come back again. Not just a one-time visit to the museum, but to come back again and again. And they have designed an exhibit that I think is going to provide us with that kind of engaging and exciting dimension to what we're going to do, both in the museum, but also in the visitor center as well. So I want to introduce Christina to you, but before I do that, I also want to say that she is just a delight to work with. Again, more than just a consultant, but a member of the family. So without further ado, Christina.
Hi, my name is Christina Forwerda, and I own Forwerda Creative Services, a consulting company. Along with my colleague Paul Orselli, I've had the pleasure of working with the D&H Canal Museum for the last about 2 years to envision the exhibits and experiences that will be in their new space, the 1797 Depew Canal House. The space will be divided up into two areas. The former kitchen of the John Novi restaurant will be the Mid-Hudson Visitor Center, and the original 1797 building and the 4 rooms on the first floor will be the D&H Canal Museum. The Mid-Hudson Visitor Center is an area to welcome tourists and showcase the nature, culture, and art history of the Mid-Hudson region. Folks will be able to pick up brochures and use an interactive map to learn about different opportunities for sightseeing and experience and food in the area. As visitors transition to the Canal Museum, the first gallery will be a classic intro and orientation. It will be organized as a timeline. So you'll see faxed figures, historic documents in this image, but it'll also include lots of interactive moments. For example, you can listen to the speech that Philip Hone gave at the canal's groundbreaking, or you could compare your body to the depth of the canal when it first opened, as well as after it was renovated in the mid-1800s. From there are 3 different galleries that visitors will be able to explore. The first focuses on the economic impact of the D&H Canal. So all the way to the right of this vision rendering, you see a 3-dimensional model of New York City, where visitors will be able to find out, for example, that the sidewalks are made of bluestone, that the heat might have been sourced from coal, or that the facade of the building might have had limestone or brick from this area. The windows in this image showcase the fact that the D&H Canal had a large impact on the local region. And so visitors will be able to see the change over time and the growth from a more agrarian farming community to small towns and villages that were thriving. Visitors will also be able to explore a gallery that focuses on the technology of the canal. So how did a canal operate? And of course, the central image in this gallery will be an operating lock model. But in addition, all kinds of tools will be featured here, including everything from shovels to a faux explosion with black powder, to the achievements and the innovation of our friend John Roebling, who, along with building some of the aqueducts, was an innovator with the use of wire rope. The tavern will include objects that make it feel as if our friends from the 1800s have just left the room. And as visitors explore, they might discover the music that people on the canal listened to, the foods that they ate, or the clothes that they wore. All of those will help to reinforce the fact that different people, including people of color, women, children, and immigrants, made the canal the success that it was. Overall, these exhibits will help the D&H Canal Museum move into the 21st century. They've already got incredible programs and exciting events happening, and now they need a physical space that's going to help them build on that strength. So we think this is the space that will do it, and we hope you do too. And we're looking forward to seeing you there in 2022.
Okay, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. That's great, by the way, everything that was just mentioned, and I've been following this for a long time now since it all began, and I just want to welcome everybody to this tasting. My name is Kevin Zraly, and the first thing I would like to do is toast to, see what happened today. Anything important happened in your life today? So I'm toasting to the United States of America. How's that? Is that a good way to do it? And after this whole show is over, you can listen to Joe Biden and he'll tell you what he thinks about what's going on. So the first, a toast to the Delaware and Hudson Canal Museum and to life. You got to click the glasses, by the way. If they're with somebody, click the glasses. This is supposed to be fun, and smell it. And then give it a little taste, save some, because I'm going to come back to this wine in a second. But I just want to actually look at what would have happened 100 years ago. If we were drinking this wine right now, you'd all be arrested, because it's interesting to me that Prohibition began exactly 100 years ago in 1920. And from that, we get to 2020, and the government says, well, we feel that the wine is an essential business now. So thank God we can do all of what we're doing. So we have the cheers. And then do we have that picture, by the way? Allison, I want to bring Alice. I'm going to bring Allison on in a second, but there it is. North Cucamonga Winery, number 7. This is what it looked like 100 years ago. And so like, I'm glad we're here now. But now, before we go on, because this is this is virtual, meaning that you participate. You tell me what you think about what's going on. And I would like to introduce my voice of God, my co-producer in all of my shows that I've been doing. By the way, it's been crazy. If I told you, if somebody told me 6 months ago, well, they did. They asked me 6 months ago, can you do virtual wine tastings? And I said, what's that? And could you do Zoom? I said, what's that? That's all I've been doing now. And I really do believe it works. I have a wine school that's now national. From all over the country. Even on this show that we're doing right now, there's 15 states involved. But I want to bring Allison on because she's going to show you how you can communicate with me in the question and answer. So Allison, welcome. Tell us what's going on.
Good evening. We're so happy to have you all here. We are so thrilled about everything happening with the Canal House. And I just want to explain to you a few ways that we'll be using Zoom this evening. So we have right at the bottom of your screen, we have the chat and the Q&A. The Q&A will be used for whenever you have questions. For example, someone just asked which wine we're starting with. Kevin, we let them know, Sauvignon Blanc or the Sancerre. And please use the chat to engage. We know we can't be with you in person, which is too bad, but we're still really excited to be hearing what you would pair this with, hearing any thoughts, any experiences that you've had. We love to hear what you have to say. We will try to answer as many questions as possible. We will also be doing a few polls. So to get to know you a little bit better, something will come up and you will vote on your screen. So please feel free to engage with us as much as you can, and don't be shy to ask some questions.
Thank you, Allison. And actually, thank you for letting me know, because they all have a wine list there in front of them. They should have a wine list in front of them, which actually shows the order of the wine. And there's a reason. The reason we're doing it's the Sauvignon Blanc, or it's the Sancerre, or it's the Concy, or there's what else? There's a Touraine. That's the Sauvignon Blanc. Actually, if you take a look at your wine list, that tells you which was your first wine. And it's really, really important to start with that one before you go to the Chardonnay. But if you did it, we're not going to talk about it. I would just like to say this is so important to me. This is my 50th anniversary of studying wine. And I started it at the Dupuy Canal House Tavern in High Falls. I was actually living above Mrs. Novi's Pizzeria in 1970. And I didn't have any money. I was a college student. I was paying rent to Mrs. Novi. And I went down one day, I said, could I wash some dishes or something? And she said, no, I got no job for you. You go see Johnny. Johnny's got a restaurant next block. Go see the big stone building. Go see Johnny. So I went and saw John and started working there in 1970. And, we were doing 20 people a night or something like that, or maybe less, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Lo and behold, Craig Claiborne comes in from the New York Times, the first American New York Times wine critic, comes in with another chef called Pierre Franet, and another chef who's still with us, Jacques Pepin. They give this restaurant in the middle of nowhere. We all know High Falls. In the middle of nowhere, a 4-star rating. It was the first time and last time nobody's ever gotten a 4-star rating outside of New York City. Well, I didn't know who these guys were. All I know is those 20 reservations went to 120 reservations. So me, the waiter, we needed a bartender. We were making all of our own drinks. And so we needed a bartender. So somehow Kevin, got to be the bartender, and I had to study wine and liquor and beer. And I'm going to be honest with you, back in 1970, people weren't drinking wine. They were drinking martinis and Manhattans and old fashions and all this kind of Pink Lady. Does anybody remember any of these drinks? Pink Lady. And I think we had 2 beers, Bud, and this time of the year we had Oktoberfest, and that was about it. And anyhow, the Ulster County Community College calls up and says, we'd like you to teach a wine and cheese class, saying to John and I, because you obviously got a 4-star rating, you know what you're doing. And we said, silly, sure, we'll do that, thinking maybe 6 people will show up. Well, 30 people showed up for the first class, which is called Wine and Cheese 101, and we taught it in the main dining room. So John didn't know anything about cheese. I didn't know anything about wine, but you learn real quickly. Then I started going to the wineries, like in Hudson Valley, Ben Marl, even Brotherhood. Brotherhood is still the oldest winery in the United States. Ben Marl's the oldest vineyard in the United States. So there's a lot of tradition here in the Hudson Valley. Then I went to the Finger Lakes and worked with a guy named Dr. Constantine Frank. By the way, I'm still like 21 at this point in time. And So then I took off for California in between my junior and senior year at college and hitchhiked to California to visit, if you will. Some of you, many of you have been in Napa Valley. Maybe there were 24 wineries in Napa Valley. Today there's over 500. So I just finished writing something called it was called Witness. It's called Windows on the Wine and Food Revolution from 1970 to 2020, 50 years of what's gone on, not just with wine, but with, well, actually, this is the new edition. I should talk about that. That's the 35th anniversary edition of my book. And I'm very, very happy to say, because I'm self-taught, graduated New Paltz College with a history education degree, learned everything I really had to know in High Falls at the Canal House. There I am in the old kitchen. My hair was obviously a little bit longer and blonder, I think, if I'm looking at that, but I was smelling at cork, so I knew what I was doing. Anyhow, I at the Canal House, after I graduated college, I went to Europe and I studied all the wineries of Europe. Oh, I should throw something in here right now. In between, I was drinking Bud, Irish steak, potato, beer kind of guy. And in between, Peter Beanstalk would come to the restaurant, now my friend for 50 years. And he gave me one time a great Burgundy wine from the 1945 vintage. And he said, here, try this. And I smelled it and it was just game changing for me. And I went directly from Budweiser to Burgundy and I had never looked back. So I want to make sure that Peter gets a little credit for helping me on my way to wine. So then I went to New York City. I worked with John until 1976. And then I got the job at Windows in the World. I was the first American sommelier in New York City and worked at Windows in the World for 25 years until September 11th. We all know about that. And we need some wine to talk about that maybe later. But then I continued the wine classes until a few years ago. But now they're back again as the Windows in the World virtual wine class. But I know that you guys are thirsty. Have another sip of the Loire Valley. That's what we're starting with, wine number 1. Look at your wine list. Give it a try again. Toast, toast, toast. There's evil spirits everywhere. Get rid of them. Obviously, that's white wine. And I'm going to tell you, I got to break it down right now. If this book, this Windows in the World wine book, it's the largest selling wine book in the world with 4 million copies sold. That's why I can hang out here in New Paltz and High Falls. But I got to break it down. Let me prove to you, I hope, that I know something about wine and make it easy for you. So you might be a white wine drinker, you might be a red wine drinker, you might be a rosé drinker. It doesn't, whatever turns you on, but for white wine, you need to know 3 white grapes. There's hundreds of white grapes, 3 white grapes, and here they are. Not in any order of quality or anything, but Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc, and Chardonnay. Those are the 3 major grapes in the world for quality. If you know those 3 grapes, you know 90% of all quality white wines in the world. What's different about them? Taste, obviously. Texture is going to be there. Let's talk about texture. If I put a glass of skim milk and a glass of whole milk and a glass of heavy cream in front of you right now, would you be able to see the difference in the color between the skim milk, the whole milk, and the heavy cream? Sure you would. Smell, not sure, but would you be able to feel the difference in texture between skim milk, whole milk, and heavy cream? I hope you can, because this is the only way I can explain it with the amount of time that I have. Riesling, skim milk, Sauvignon Blanc. This is around the world, by the way, for whether it's wherever the wine's from. Riesling is going to be skim milk, light in style. Sauvignon Blanc is going to be heavier, whole milk, and your Chardonnays are going to be your heavy cream. Now let's take a look at where they come from. Okay, where do all these grapes, the Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc, and Chardonnay come from? Well, Riesling, number 1 place in the world is Germany. Number 2 place, Alsace, France. That's, and of course, it was part of Germany before World War I. I look at the Finger Lakes district of New York State as the 3rd in the world for quality Riesling. And Washington State is the largest producer of Riesling in the United States. And Australia also makes a dry style. Now, German Rieslings can have a little bit of sweetness to them. Alsace are dry, New York both ways, and Australia from the Clare Valley, dry Riesling. Now, the next grape, by the way, look at this whole thing. The color gets deeper from the grape, from the Riesling to the Chardonnay, going back to our skim milk, whole milk, and heavy cream. Riesling is lighter, Chardonnay is heavier. Tannins, we'll talk about tannins in a second. There's no tannins in wine number 1. Ageability, in general, I'm going to say drink your Rieslings young, especially the drier ones, Sauvignon Blanc, drink them young. Chardonnay, you can age. Where's the Sauvignon Blanc on? In my opinion, the best Sauvignon Blanc in the world comes from the Loire Valley in France, which is what you're having here today. Second place, well, I'll give it Bordeaux. Dry white wines are coming from the Sauvignon Blanc. And of course, who can forget New Zealand? The only thing I want to say about that, New Zealand, by the way, is a totally different style of wine. It's very, very, what's the word? Passion fruit, all these kinds of things. Very strong, pungent is the word. So if you like it, it's totally different than the one you're going to have today. But New Zealand, when I started in 1970, there wasn't one Sauvignon Blanc grapevine in the country. So they've come a long way. And California also makes a good wine. Sometimes it's called Fumé Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc called Fumé Blanc. Best Chardonnay in the world comes from Burgundy, France. That's my personal opinion. Also, the only white grape that they can use in making champagne is the Chardonnay, and that's France as well. Hear me out, because we're going to have this in a second. California, cool climates, Chardonnay, not warm climate. And we're going to show you in a map in a second what that looks like. But, and also, of course, Australia. So let's go back now. Pick up the wine. I still hope you have some left, because I know this group. I hope you all bought more than you needed. I'm going back to wine number 1. And if you, again, take a look at your sheet there, whereas I have a sheet here somewhere as well, you will see what I put there. I put Loire Valley, Sauvignon Blanc, and I gave you choices. And we had, this is the difficulty or the fun, if you will, of doing an all around the country wine tasting. Can I get the same wine for everybody in every state? No, because after Prohibition, another little thing, after Prohibition, the government decided that they didn't want to deal with it, the federal government. So they handed it over to the states. Some of the states handed over to the local counties. And that's why we have 50 countries in the United States of America when it comes to legalization or control of alcohol. So the Loire Valley, some of you have the Touraine, some of you might have a Sancerre, some of you might have a Pouilly-Fumé, the Concy. Bottom line, doesn't make any difference. They're all 100% Sauvignon Blanc, all coming from the Loire Valley, which is, we're going to show you in a second, that's further north, but let's taste this wine first. All right, so what do I have here? Oh, color is very, very important. White wines, as they get older, gain color. Red wines, as they get older. You listening, guys? Are you guys listening out there? Bill, are you listening? You're not talking, right? Just want to make sure. Because you have to have a white background. And you take the glass like this on an angle. Don't let it go out of the glass. And you have a white background here, and then you actually look down and look at the color. Here's what I'm getting in this one. My one, it's young, 2018. It's not white for sure. It's, I'm going to call it pale yellow green. And most of your wines are young, and that's the way it should be. What's the most important thing for me, though? The smell of the wine. You can only taste 4 things. Sweet in life. Sweet, sour, bitter, and salt. You can smell the 10,000 if you really want to do it. So the score right now, well, sweet, sour, bitter, salt. There's no salt in any wine. So there's no salt in this wine. There's no bitterness in this wine because it's high alcohol plus tannin makes bitterness, not in this wine. There's only 2 possible tastes, sweet and sour, and this is a dry wine. So what are you expecting? Sour or acid. Acidity is going to be on the side. Take the glass again. Smell it once. Apple, pear. Smell it with me. I'm watching you guys out there. I see all of you out there. Watch it, smell it. Lemon zest. A little bit of grapefruit as well. But now let's enhance the whole thing. If smell is so important, put your hand over the top. If you have never been to any of my wine tastings, for the rest of your life, you'll be doing this with your coffee and your orange juice and anything that you can want to get the best aromas out of. Ready? 1, 2, 3, open it up. Now smell it. It's night and day. It's night and day. What we're doing sometimes with wine, we're just drinking it. And the smell, all right, ready? 90% of taste is smell. That's how important it is. 90% of taste is smell. So I want to smell it. I hope you like it. And toast again. This is a big toast. This time you're leaving the wine in your mouth for 5 seconds. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. An explosion of fruit. There's the grapefruit, by the way. There's pineapple. A little tropical. It's soft, meaning it's not the body, it's light. By the way, I'm tasting these wines with you in real time. I didn't pre-taste them. I taste 5,000 wines a year. That's my job in life. It's not a bad job, but I'm looking for flavor. Flavor is what I'm looking for. And I went on my bike ride today, which I do every day. And I went on the R2R trail, river to ridge. And it was like, the sun was setting. I always watched the sunset. go down, and it was like different layers that was happening, the cold and the warm, and you're going on different levels and you feel it. Layers in wine and balance of wine is so important. And this wine, to me, it's still going on. If you haven't tried it again, watch it. I do something called the 60-second wine expert, and I buy tens of millions of dollars a year worth of wine. And I'm waiting till this moment now to say, is this wine good or not? Notice the acidity was strong in the first 30 seconds. Right now, I'm coming up to 60 seconds. It's less, it's off to the side. The fruit is still going on. That's called length, ladies and gentlemen. Not the wines we used to drink in high school and college, which we could talk about, but we're not going to. Well, we could talk a little bit about that, meaning that the wines you used to drink in high school and college, start thinking, let them work a little bit here. Can somebody, let's see what you guys can come up with. I'd just like to put in some wines right now. What wines did you drink in high school and college? I don't see anybody doing anything here right now. I need to have some, back and forth here right now. I'll give you one. Riuniti, okay? Riuniti. Oh, Yellowtail. Well, Nick, okay. Yellowtail actually is fairly new. I'm done. The people that I know in this group here right now, what do we got here going on? Bully Hill, that's Finger Lakes, etc. Matus, there we go, Matus. Carlo Rossi, Boone's Farm, thank you. Now we're getting to Lancers. If you couldn't find the Matus, you bought the Lancers. Ripple, oh, that's good, Jill. You were really up on things back in those days. Blue Nun, still one of the largest selling German wines sold in the United States. Bottom line, did you age those wines? Nah, I don't think so. When did you drink those wines? In the retail store on the way out. And don't forget the old screw cap thing, which is a very positive thing today. Back in those days, it meant that it was a cheap wine. Bottom line, why am I bringing this up? Because 90% of all wines, this is a really important, bold statement now. 90% of all wines are meant to be consumed within 1 year. 90%. They're not ready to age. There's the whole thing about aging is a little off. Another 9% of all wines should never age more than 5 years. So let me, have your you have your laptop, but you can't use it. 99% of all wine should be consumed within 5 years, like the Matus and the Lancers, etc. This wine here right now is ready to drink. It's not going to get any better. One thing I want to do, and you're going to vote on this wine in a second, but you also have to start thinking about food. What kind of food would you have with this wine? So I'm looking at the audience here right now saying, okay, here it is. You just tried it. Now you're in a restaurant whenever they open again, and you are going to order food with this, because that's the only time I have wine. I have wine with food. I'm not going to sit around with Joe Biden tonight. I'm going to have something else, but I'm not going to sit around and have wine. I need food. So somebody here, Alan, is saying blue cheese. Actually, the cheese that they have in the Loire Valley, and I always say, if you're in Rome, do what the Romans do, is goat cheese. That's one of the reasons I asked you if anybody got the goat cheese. Try it with this wine. Somebody said fish. All right, I'm thank you for whitefish, shellfish. I'm going to bring it up right now. My favorite with this is clams and oysters, because think about when they bring out clams and oysters. You go to Gadaletto's here in New Paltz or wherever you go, and you get the clams and the oysters, and they put lemon all over it. The acidity of the citric acid. Now you don't need lemon anymore. You got it in the Sancerre. What a great combination. And to my hedonist friends out there, which are many, try this sometime. All right, you take the clam or the oyster down the hatch, and then keep the shell, take the wine, put it in the shell. Trust me, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's going to change everything. Now you got all the brine, ocean, and the wine there together. One question before I go on to the next wine. And I know you all, most of you, and I appreciate what you're doing for my old stomping ground, but I don't know what your level of wine is. So I'm going to give you your first quiz here. Now, here it is. Rate, quick poll here right now. So are you a beginner? You starting off here? Are you an intermediate? Or are you an advanced? Okay, so hit it now. And it's very simple to do. And in a moment, what you're going to get is you're going to have Allison's going to give you. This is better than the election, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to find out right away in real time, in a few minutes here right now, or a few seconds, your favorite wine. So I also wanted to bring this up that the United States of America, here we are. This is a big time with the election that's been going on. If you told me 50 years ago at the Canal House that wine would be an important part. As I told you, it was all about distilled spirits, alcohol, vodka, gin, or whatever, I would have said, you're crazy. It's never going to happen. There was no tradition. The Canal House, the wine list I put together at the Canal House, I still have, by the way. John Novi gave it to me. By the way, I do want to give a personal, heartfelt, without John Novi, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing here right now. John Novi was the father of cooking, new American cooking, I'll call it that way, long before anybody else was. That's what I just wrote in this 50-year from 1970 to 2020, this whole thing about, not about John, but John, of course, is the first one, so I put him in there. I remember John saying that he didn't want any starches. He didn't want to have any rice. He didn't want to have any, potatoes. He didn't want to have any pasta. Bread was not served. Some of you remember this, bread was served after the meal with a salad. Pellegrino was on the table back in those days. You know how much water people were drinking in 1970? It was out of the tap. It wasn't out of a bottle. He didn't even want to have meat on the original menu. He was more of a, he just wanted lots of vegetables and all things good for you. Fish, he was a big fish person. So he was way ahead of himself. And I was very, very lucky to go to Windows on the World and work with Joe Baum, who created not only Windows on the World, he started with the Four Seasons restaurant in 1959, and then created 300 other restaurants, and then came to Windows on the World and created that. And then left and then recreated the Rainbow Room. And then after the bombing in 93, by the way, I'm there for all of this whole thing. After the bombing in 93, we reopened in 96 with Joe Baum back. So I've been very, very lucky to work with these magical people in my life. Okay, do we have the answer to that, Allison, on the poll? Do we find out intermediate, advanced? What do we get here right now? Oh, look at that. All right, you're intermediate except for the Peter Beanstocks of the world. They're at the 17% mark. Anyhow, I want you to see who is in the audience. So that's how I'm going to be talking. I'm going to the next wine right now. And I want you to know that that Sancerre or whatever wine you had, by law, had to be 100% Sauvignon Blanc and no oak. This is really, really important. That's why I like the wine. It's refreshing, wine number one. Wine number two. Actually, we have a picture of California, I think. Don't we have a picture of California on that, somewhere? I know I put one up, but you can take a look at the wine right now. Well, there it is. So if you take a look at the map, we're talking about the North Coast right now. As a matter of fact, we're talking about Sonoma. And Sonoma is cooler than Napa. Remember what I said earlier, cool climate Chardonnay. Sonoma would be a place. Monterey would be a place. The Salinas Valley going inland. The Santa Barbara, believe it or not, it's further south, but it's a cooler climate down there, and a lot has to do with the ocean effect. And take a look at California. When I was there in total, back in 1970, hitchhiking to visit Tad Richards. Some people might remember Tad. He runs Opus 40. He didn't hitchhike. I met him there in Santa Cruz. Anyhow, in 2020, now there's 3,372 wineries. And every state in the United States of America has wineries. So all states have wineries. Number one is California. Number two, Washington State. Number three, New York. Number four, Oregon. But the fact that all states have these wine trails going all over the place is just an amazing thing. And look at all the different labels that they have. And here we go. Let's go to the, I want to go to Sonoma right now. I'm going to break it down. That's where we are right now. Everybody has the Sonoma Cutrer. We're able to get everybody this wine. If you take a look at the label, that's the name of the winery, Sonoma Cutrer. When they started, they weren't around in 1970, by the way. When they started, it was only about Chardonnay. Now they grow Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. There's a reason I'm bringing this up. And if you take a look at the label, it says Sonoma Coast at the very bottom, Sonoma Coast, coming from Sonoma County. Let's go to this wine, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. So I'm going to come back to that, Allison. Ready? Look at the color of this wine. Remember what I said? White background, on an angle, looking down. And I don't know how your light is. My light's pretty good here right now. This is much more color. And what did I say? Chardonnay will give you more color than Sauvignon Blancs. We showed you on that slide there right now. There's a reason for it. Is it older? Not really. It would not. Remember what I said, white wines, as they get older, gain color. There's another reason why this wine has got more color than the previous wine. Chardonnay in general will give you more color than Sauvignon Blanc. Ready? Smell it once. I don't know, but more powerful. Seems like there's more alcohol. There's apple in there as well, like a green apple. I'm getting honey. It's very refreshing. I mean, refreshing in this different way than the Sauvignon Blanc was, but it's very, we use the word clean. The wine is very, very clean. Peach, you're going to find a lot of peach skin in these wines. Put your hand over the top. And I certainly hope that you're all doing this, all right? Because I'm here to have fun, but also a little education is not bad. This, what you're holding in right now is the esters, the ethers, the aldehydes, the alcohols, and then you're going to let them explode into your nose. Now there's more of that peach that you were talking about. And I'm also getting vanilla, a slight bit of vanilla, and I'm also going to say a little bit of oak here right now. And that's the difference between the Sauvignon Blanc and a Chardonnay. Around the world, most Sauvignon Blancs, 99% of all Sauvignon Blancs in the world don't have any oak. The Chardonnay, some of them are unoaked. The great ones have either a kiss of oak or a lot of oak. We're talking about the best oak is French. The smaller the oak, the better the wine's going to be. Smell it again, and a toast again. I know you guys are already probably on the red wines by now, but here we go. Give it a try. 3 seconds at least in the mouth. Now, it's hard because I know some people are having a little party with our wines, which is fine with me. But there's that apple coming out. So what am I saying? This is more powerful wine, different food than the Sauvignon Blanc, totally different. This wine has been aged in oak for, again, this is the kiss of oak. This is not the overly oak California wine with the high alcohol, which has turned off people for a long period of time, because it doesn't go with food. Alcohol plus oak, or the bitterness, will create alcohol plus the oak will create bitterness. This is smooth sailing here with this wine. That's why I chose it. It's the #1 asked for Chardonnay in it's the #1 wine asked for in tablecloth restaurants in the United States. That's a poll that's been going on for 30 years. Now, the acidity is less. And here's what's happening. I asked you to wait a little bit. I'm sure some of you have finished it and gotten second taste there, but if you had waited, here comes the tannin. What is tannin? Natural preservative. Where does it come from? Comes from skin of the grapes, which we don't have any. They take the skins off and put the wine, ferment the wine. Red wine, of course, you're getting a double whammy. You get it from the skins and oak. This wine is just from the oak, and it dries out your mouth. If you had waited 60 seconds like I have, and that's the biggest question I get, by the way, when is a wine ready to drink? I got to make this decision. I'm telling you right now that the Sancerre, or whatever Loire Valley wine you have, is ready to drink. Perfect Thanksgiving wine, by the way. This wine, the Sonoma-Cutrer Chardonnay, tannins, one more time, is a preservative. You can feel it in your mouth. It's the same tannin that's in tea. It's the same tannin that's in walnuts. So when you have walnuts during Thanksgiving, what do you need? You need a glass of water because my mouth is all dried out. And that's what's happening here right now. The tannins, though, at 60 seconds, and that's called the 60-second wine expert. You wait 60 seconds. I'm past 60 seconds right now. The tannin didn't overpower the fruit. Therefore, I say this wine is ready to drink, but there is enough tannin for this wine to age a couple of more years. So question to all of you out there right now. Some of you are I know you're all with a lot of different people. So talk to yourselves or person you're with. Which was your favorite wine and why was it your favorite wine? Was it the Sauvignon Blanc? Give him a second, Allison. What was it? Your Sauvignon Blanc, or was it Chardonnay? That from California. Oh, there we go. So you can vote. Okay. And let's see what we got. Everybody has to vote now. By the way, we know if you're voting or not. There is a test at the end of this, and we'll see how this goes. And we're going to wait and see what happens. I'm going to say something. When I keep going back to the cool climates of Chardonnay, because what happened with California 30 years ago, they would make these enormous Chardonnays, and they really didn't go over well. And there was something called ABC, anything but Chardonnay. And by the way, that skim milk, whole milk, and heavy cream, I'm only mentioning 3 white grapes, but if you like Pinot Grigio, then you probably like wine #1. All right, this is wine therapy besides wine aromatherapy, but it is therapy. Wine #1 Pinot Grigio has no oak. And so that's one that I'm mentioning as a grape, and it's fine. Pinot Grigio is also a perfect wine for Thanksgiving. What you're looking for Thanksgiving is an unoaked Chardonnay, not the Sonoma-Cutrer because it has some oak, and the unoaked Riesling. When you walk into the store, that's what you ask for. There's a great French wine in Burgundy. It's called Macon, M-A-C-O-N. And look for that. That's 100% Chardonnay, no oak. But go to your retailer. They have them from California. They're from all over the place. Did we get to find out what they liked, Allison? Are you still totaling up there right now? Ooh, close, huh? They're good wines, and this is something that I wanted to say as well. The book, the Windows on the World Complete Wine Course in the 35th edition. In the back of the book, well, let me give you my philosophy first. My job in life, as I look at it, is to find a $10 bottle of wine that tastes like a 20, then a 20 that tastes like a 40, and then a $50 bottle of wine that tastes like it's $100 or more. And you can do it. When I started in 1970, it was only about French wines and a smattering of German wines. Chile, Argentina, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, forget about it. And I love Italian wines today. They're some of the best in the world, but they were some of the worst in the world. Italy actually had to unlearn and relearn how to make wine for the global market, which they have done with great wines like Brunello di Montalcino, even a great Chianti Classico Reserva. Same thing happened in Spain, in Rioja. I was living there when Francisco Franco was still in charge. Yeah, I am getting older. And you have a dictatorship going on, and what happens is there's no money for the wine, there's no money for the barrels, there's no money for the glass, and everything just goes away. So over the last 50 years, what have I seen? Not only Americans or everybody drinking more wine, but the quality is so much better. And all of those countries I just mentioned, here's another great wine for Thanksgiving, Malbec from Argentina. And if we're going to talk about Malbec in a second, and Cabernet Sauvignon from Chile. As I mentioned, the Rioja, great wines, a good Chianti Classico Reserva. These are not wines. So there's 800 wines in the back of my book under $30. So now I am a red wine drinker. Let's take a look at red grapes. I don't want to run out of time because I know you want to watch Mr. Biden. So, okay, that's a lot of grapes. Okay, a lot of grapes. Let me break it down for you. I gave you, for the white grapes, I said Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay. If you knew those or know those three white grapes, that's 90% of all quality. If you know the following grapes, and you can see them here, and by the way, again, this is based on lighter color, lighter body, less tannins, and ageability. So gives you a lot of information. But if you only had to know three grapes, here they are. Pinot Noir, and look where Pinot Noir is. Merlot, down the list there. And then there's Cabernet Sauvignon. There's a lot of other grapes that could be here because there's a lot more quality red grapes. But Pinot Noir, Merlot, and Cabernet Sauvignon. And this chart will tell you immediately. Pinot Noir is skim milk. Merlot is whole milk. And Cabernet Sauvignon is heavy cream. You're going to experience that tonight if you never did it before. Pinot Noir, light, and we're going to go to the Cabernet, which is going to blow you away. But let's take a look. We're not going to talk about Gamay right now, but Beaujolais is also a great wine for Thanksgiving. A Beaujolais Village or a Beaujolais Cru. Talk to your retailer about that. So where's the best Pinot Noir come from? Burgundy, France. If you haven't noticed, I'm a Francophile. I've already said that about Sauvignon Blanc. Where's the best place? The Loire Valley, France. Where's the best Chardonnay? Burgundy, France. Where's the best Pinot Noir? Burgundy, France. That's why Sonoma-Cutrer is a Burgundian-style winery in California, because they specialize in Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Champagne again. Yeah, Champagne is made with red grapes primarily, not white. And so the Pinot Noir you're going to find, they just take the skin off, by the way, if you're wondering. That's how they go there. But the number two place for me, by the way, for Pinot Noir is Oregon. And what they've done up there. And we're going to have, we have two choices for the Oregon. We have A to Z or Cloudline. They're both excellent wines. And then the third place comes in third place is California. One more time, sorry to be repetitious, cool climate. You can't put Pinot Noir in a hot climate. That's why Millbrook here does so good with Pinot Noir. They don't really grow Cabernet Sauvignon over in Millbrook because they're not going to get the sun to ripen. You pick Cabernet Sauvignon. It's one of the last grapes you pick. You'll be running into frost and all that other kind of stuff. So then I go to the Merlot. Then the best place for Merlot, sorry guys, personal opinion, by the way, and that's what it's all about. Your opinion, my opinion, it matters. And I actually don't rate wines with numbers. If you see how people do it, this wine's a 95 and 96 and 90, 100 points wine. Never done that in my life. I also don't believe in British poetry to describe a wine. You either like it or you don't and move on. But the Merlot, Bordeaux, France, some of the great chateaus of Bordeaux, Chateau Petrus would be one of them that I'm thinking of that actually is 100% Merlot. It's probably the most expensive Bordeaux. Second place is Napa Valley, California. And we are, and by the way, sometimes years ago, it wasn't that long ago, even 50 years ago, there were very few people who were marketing Merlot. They always used it with Cabernet Sauvignon as a blending grape, but on its own, it's fine. And you'll see on your own. And obviously, it's going to have less tannin. It's going to be lighter than the Cabernet Sauvignon. And then we move to Cabernet Sauvignon, where? Bordeaux, France. My birthday's coming up, by the way. This is a big year, my 50th anniversary of doing wine, and I'm turning 70 in December. So if you guys want to send me a gift, then go to Bordeaux, Chateau Lafite Rothschild, Chateau Latour, Chateau Aubryon, Chateau Margaux, whatever you want to do, send the bottles to me and we'll take it from there. So let's take a look. First, Pinot Noir. And I said, like I said, some of you have A to Z and some of you have Cloudline. They're both excellent, excellent wines. Watch this. Take the Pinot Noir, color-wise, even if you already had some, it doesn't make any difference, on an angle, no more than 3 ounces in a glass, otherwise you're not going to be able to see it. Here's the big question. I'm asking you guys, can you see through it or not? Talk to, and then tell me on your question and answer, can you see through the wine or not see through the wine? Waiting. You know, this is the problem with wine tasting. You know, you got to get all your information in before the third wine, because after the third wine, this is no longer an educational experience. It's something called crowd control. So I think so. I'm looking at some, you know, Alan here telling me, oh, well, okay, Dave says no, okay, and James, it also depends upon the lighting and how much wine you have in the glass. Poured too much wine, okay, I get it. Jessica, yes, okay. I'm going to tell you, I can see through the wine. What does that all mean? Why would I care? Because if you can see through a red wine, any grape at any time, remember red wines as they get older lose color, it's ready to drink. Now this is a young wine. I have the wine A to Z. So if you have the Cloudline, you have a young vintage. So remember what I said. If you can see through it, it's ready to drink. If you can see through it, it's got less tannins. It's going to be great with food. Smell it once. Maybe you can see why I'm a red wine drinker, because it's so, to me, there's so much more coming out. This is red fruit. I'm getting red raspberry. And it would happen the same thing in the Cloudline. Red cherry. Oh, there you are, Karen. We're together on this. We did it at the same time. Boom to you. You know, I asked this question, I really do, because Pinot Noir, and this is the style of wine that Peter Beanstalk gave to me when I was 20 years old. Try this. It was a red Burgundy made. It was in 1945, by the way. And that's why this is very, very important in life, if you haven't figured it out, Peter. The idea is to find people that have a really good wine cellar and become their friends. That's very simple. When the wine is gone, you dump them. You move on to the next wine cellar. That's all I can say. Peter, I'm only joking. Love you, buddy. Anyhow, what is this wine saying to you? Drink me. Smell it again. Now this now is so much more important with red wines than it is with white. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Open it up. It's just so much more fruit coming out, but it's not an overpowering wine. Toast. Sorry, I'm nobody here to toast with. Give it a try. By the way, if you're watching me, I'm leaving it in my mouth. I'm swirling it around. By the way, the first taste of wine is a shock to your taste buds. Don't ever look at the first 15 seconds for wine. Now, zen it out, or as my friend Nina would say, mindfulness. And there is some earth in there, and soil that you get. They call it in French, goût du terroir, the taste of the soil, even though it doesn't make any difference that it's from Oregon. But there are some tannins in this wine that I'm having. I think the Cloudline I've had the Cloudline many times. Like I said, this is wine A to Z, has less tannins coming through. But do you notice that it's spreading out all over the place? The acidity, by the way, the lighter the color of the red wine, the higher the acidity that you're going to get as well. So this wine to me, and you can call a wine soft, elegant, that's what I'm looking for. And that's what maybe Burgundy, France is all about, and Oregon is all about, and those cool climate Pinot Noirs. They're not trying to overpower you. And I will make this another statement. The best wine with food is, no question about it, for all foods. Red, it could be meat or fish, is going to be a Pinot Noir. The hard part, is my friend Mr. Seafree knows, getting a good Pinot Noir at a good price. And I'm going to be honest, most you really have to spend. You really want to get full impact on a Pinot Noir, you got to spend like $30 to get there. Okay, talk to your friends, neighbors. Yes, no, maybe. You liked it. Where is it from? The United States of America. Where? Oregon. Where side Oregon? The Willamette Valley. And some of you have been there. And here we are. You can take a look at it. And up in the upper left-hand corner is the Willamette. And again, these are two producers, A to Z. Cloudline is actually owned by the Drouin family, which makes Domaine Drouin. This is sort of like a second label. They're all, they're one of the few two wineries that can make these wines this good. And this wine to me is ready to drink. And again, it's a Thanksgiving wine. And I remind you, this is really important. Thanksgiving is coming up, right? Do not give good quality wine to your relatives. Don't even bother with them. They don't need, you have your best wine in the kitchen and you drink it that way. That's a scruples thing. You have to just do your own thing there. But again, Oregon, it was nothing in 1970. Washington State was nothing. California was nothing in 1970. And New York, we had, we were growing Concord and Catawba. We weren't looking at Riesling and Chardonnay and Cabernet and Merlot and all this other kind of stuff. So did you like it or not? I liked it for what it is: easy, elegant, refined wine. Okay, I don't want to run out of time. So you either have Black Stallion or Oberon Cabernet Sauvignon, and this is going to be the big one for the day. And notice what we did. You started with the lighter ones. You started with the Sauvignon Blanc. You moved to the Chardonnay. If you're having a dinner party, is what I'm trying to tell you. You don't go from Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc. It doesn't work. It's like having dessert before you have the main course, or appetizer before you have the main course. Now we're going, and the most important thing is Napa. That's where I went back in 1970. And I visited those wineries that I mentioned: Beaulieu, Beringer, Inglenook. Robert Mondavi actually had started the Oberon, by the way. If you have it, is his son, Michael Mondavi. And he knows everything what's going on in Napa. He could tell you. And he was the first winemaker with his father, Robert Mondavi. Beaulieu, I mentioned that already. There really weren't that many wineries to go to. Sterling was there. Actually, that started in 1969, which reminds me, how did I get up to the Hudson Valley? I went to Woodstock, 69. And I said, I'm moving into this area. As a matter of fact, I went to Catholic schools all my life, wearing a jacket and a tie. All my life, from the time I'm in kindergarten until the time I'm a senior in high school. Then I come up here in 69 and go to this festival, and they weren't wearing any clothes. So I said to myself, this is where I want to be. Things turned differently with me through the John Novi, the Canal House, all of my other friends. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Can you see through the wine? That's what I want to know. I want to hear, before you smell it, before you try it and put it in your mouth, can you actually see through the wine? Well, I don't care if it's the Black Stallion or the Oberon. The answer is no. So that's the biggest question you have tonight. If you can't see it, it's probably not ready to drink. So that's the big question. I'm asking all of you right now. Are you going to drink it anyway? You don't have to answer. I know the question. Yeah, everybody there right now. David, thanks for being on. David's in all my classes as well. You guys should check out my classes. Go to kevinzraly.com. I'm sitting here in my living room. Barry Wine, by the way. Barry Wine created the Quilted Giraffe is on this. And I was driving my bike today at the top of the hill, watching the sunset. There was Barry Wine. We had a great talk about life. Ready? Smell it. I only got a few minutes with you because we got Jay and Molly coming up here to finalize, give us everything. And it's a wine song, by the way, that they created. Would smell it a second time. Okay, black fruits. Can you see the difference? If you even go back to the Pinot Noir, if there's any left, it's red fruits. When you get to Cabernet Sauvignon, it's blackberry, it's black cherry, it's cassis, it's oak, it's powerful. There is pepper in there. Black pepper is a word that I would use to describe wine. That's why I think this whole thing works. The virtual classes work because I can see, Karen, I can see what you're asking. By the way, I didn't even ask, but we're going to try this one. And if you have any questions, you're going to let me know, Allison. Ready? Toast to our final wine. Toast somebody. I want to hear the glass hitting. Ready? 1, 2, 3, stop. Did you do this? I forgot. All right. Ready? 1. This is going to blow you away. 2, keep going. 3, let it out. Isn't it nicer to have that? You want it, you want everything, you want to smell what took them so long to make. The grapes in Napa Valley, Napa County, wherever. This is the essence right now. Final toast to everybody. Make sure you toast to everybody. You're on your 4th wine, and I'm sure you like the people better than you did before it started. This whole thing started. Okay. This makes you stop talking. Now, if you didn't know what tannin was, there it is. That's tannin. It's astringency. And again, I remind you, it's the same thing in tea, that astringency. My grandmother, by the way, my Irish grandmother would take that tea bag, put it in before dinner. I don't know if you have any of those relatives that did that. Put the tea bag in before dinner. And of course, what happens? You get lots of tannins going on. My mother, my frugal mother, would take the same tea bag in, because grandma left it in there for 20 minutes. Grandma liked tannin. Grandma liked a lot of things, but I'm your therapist right now. We can't talk about grandma, but my mother just took it 10 times and she didn't like tannin. She just liked a little taste of that. But the question comes up, why are we bringing this up? If it's so, see how stringent this is? It fills my mouth. The tannins are not just on my tongue. And by the way, it's not a taste tannin, it's a tactile sensation. It's grabbing your tongue right now and it's going up to the palate. It's going all over the place. Question is what did my grandmother do if she left the tea bag in there too long? What? I'm asking the question right now. What can you put in the tea if you left the tea bag in there too long? What do you put in to make it taste better? Oh, we got 1 milk. Anybody else? See? Tannins overpower the fruit. Yes, they do. And that's why you wait. Honey, cream. Somebody from Atlanta wrote to me 6 months ago, just put bourbon in it. You put bourbon in the tea, it's all going to be better. The answer, I'm just going to cut to the chase because I'm running out of time. We can do this again. I told Peter I'll do 1,000 tastings to get this Canal Museum going. And I'm very excited about everything that I've seen today, but I've seen it before and just watching it grow. So what are you going to have with this one? I can't drink this wine alone. I can drink that Sauvignon Blanc alone. All right. But I'd rather have goat cheese with it or those clams and oysters I talked about. The Chardonnay I could drink alone, but I'd have a heavier fish, if you will, or I'd have poultry. And if you're also a vegetarian, I'm talking all this kind of stuff here right now. Think of texture. Think of portobello mushroom. Whatever you're putting together with the wine, think of the texture of what you're having. The Pinot Noir, light, easy drinking. By the way, here's what I'm going to say. The Chardonnay actually is almost a red wine masquerading as a white. The Pinot Noir, on the other hand, is a red wine masquerading as a white. That's what's happening here right now. You can switch the two around. Take the Cabernet one more time and then try it again. This is our last chance. Try it again. Give it a taste. Okay, final question. I'm not gonna, I can't have time because I'm hearing the bells of New Paul's Church go off. Here we go. Question right now, which one did you like better, the Pinot Noir or the Cabernet Sauvignon? Molly and Jay, are you on? Not yet, you're not yet. We gotta do this little thing and then we're going over to you to a new wine song. It's not a Chopin farewell, but you should listen to that. So we have a question here, Allison, about which wine that they like better, the Cabernet or the Merlot. You want to let them try it, poll them or whatever. Okay. Okay, well, people are writing it in anyhow. So here's the deal, and I'm going to throw this out here right now. If you liked the Pinot Noir, you like light style wines. If you like the Cabernet Sauvignon, like them powerful. So here's the other question. How many of you actually preferred the lighter style? Which was your favorite wine? Was it wine number 1? Was it wine number 2? Was it wine number 3? Wine number 4? They're all really good stuff here right now. Well, here, it gives you your chance. Which one did you like best? So, and for drinkability for now, whatever it is, and submit it, and we'll find out in a second. But the other question I'm going to ask, and I want you to start thinking about this because it's going to pop up here right now, is did you like wine number 1, the Sauvignon Blanc, as the white, and did you like wine number 3, the Pinot Noir, for your red? If you have a choice, is it 1 and 3, Or did you like wine number 2 and wine number 4 the best? This is going to be an important thing here right now, because guess what? Totally different styles. Obviously, light versus a heavy style. If you liked the Sauvignon Blanc and the Pinot Noir, you're a skimmer. You're a skim kind of person. You don't bother with Cabernet. Don't bother with Chardonnay. You probably, again, good. These are good wines. Pinot Grigio, unoaked Chardonnays, Riesling, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now it's your opportunity to vote. Who are you? What are you made of? All right. Which ones did you like the best? Submit it, and we'll see in a moment what it is. If you liked wine number 1 and wine number 3, you like light style wines. If you like the Chardonnay, the powerful Chardonnay, and the Cabernet Sauvignon, this is what you say when you walk into the wine store. You walk and say, I'm a powerful person. I want a powerful wine. I want the fruits. I want the alcohol. I want it all. I want the oak. That's who you are. That's the kind of person you are. And then the other, I'll do a final on this, because somebody said, wait, I just saw somebody say, now, I like wine number 1, the light one, and wine number 4, the best, 1 and 4, the light Sauvignon Blanc, and number 4, that Cabernet Sauvignon. This is therapy. I gave you 60 minutes of therapy, not 50. I gave you 60 minutes of therapy. And if you like wine number 1 and you like wine number 4, the best out of that, you need private therapy. That's all I can help you out with right now. And I certainly hope that you had a good time. Pick up a glass of wine, toast it, because we have Molly and Jay coming on, and we all know who Molly and Jay are. And they actually, we talked about doing one of their songs, and the Shokin project that they have there of music and dance. But they decided to do something totally original about wine. So I toast to all of you, and let's move on. Allison, we're going to move on. Thank you, Allison, as well. Thank everybody that's part of this, and let's bring on the music. I'll answer any questions you have while we're waiting for her to do that. Oh, I see them coming on. I see people coming on. All right, here we go, guys. Have a nice evening.
There we are.
This has been amazing. I hope we can still play after all this wine.
We will see.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, that was great.
So we are going to play a Shokin Farewell after this first song. And the first one is a reworking of an old song from the 70s that was recorded by Emmylou Harris. That was 2 more bottles of wine. But in this case, it's 4. And
4 great bottles of wine.
4 great bottles of wine. Here we go. We came together tonight with a common desire to socialize and maybe get a little bit higher. I loved each and every taste. I wouldn't let a drop go to waste. I'm feeling all right. It's been a good night with 4 great bottles of wine.
Well, when it comes to wine, Kevin Zraly knows his way around. I had my first glass and I couldn't put the second one down. I'm so happy this party's on Zoom. I don't have to drive, I just walk to my room.
It's been a good night, I'm feeling all right with 4 great bottles of wine. I didn't think I'd drink down each and every beautiful glass.
Each and every glass.
I'm feeling good now, but tomorrow I'll be dragging my ass.
He'll be dragging his ass.
I thought I'd just take a few sips. I can't believe how much has passed my lips. I'm feeling all right, it's been a good night with 4 great bottles of wine. Let's do it now, here we go.
something important tonight by showing our support for our favorite historical site.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not talking about the Coliseum. I mean the D&H Canal Museum.
I'm feeling all right. It's been a good night with 4 great bottles of wine. Sing it again now. I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling good night with 4 great bottles of wine. Yeah. So good to get to do this and get to participate in this amazing evening. So we will close with that one more tune, Ashokan Farewell, that a lot of people know from the Civil War series. I wrote it back in the 1980s for our music and dance camps at Ashokan. It's an environmental ed center and much more. It's also an historic district under the National Park Service. So if you want to learn more about it, visit ashokancenter.org. But right now we'll just play the tune for you and hope you enjoy it. And we will be celebrating a little more after the tune is done. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Had a great time tonight. Good night, everyone.